The next question, the member for Toronto-Danforth.
Brampton.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, my
Toronto,
question to
South
the Premier. A shocking new report this week from the UN's Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change confirmed that we are unprepared for the impacts of climate change itself. Ontario can't afford to dither, hoping to fix climate-related problems like flooding, droughts, fires, or threats to food security after they arrive. We need to prepare now. But this Premier has spent more money fighting federal climate action in court than he has spent on preparing Ontario for climate change. This year's budget for climate change and resilience is only $15.8 million.
Wow.
Why won't this Premier make the necessary investments to make Ontario more resilient to the impacts of climate change?
Minister of the Environment, Conservation and Parks.
Thank you, Speaker. I appreciate the question from the member opposite. First time since January 12, 2021. Speaker, this government is taking action on climate change. We were the first province in Canada to make gas cleaner by increasing the renewable content in gasoline. That's the equivalent of taking over 300,000 cars off the road. We're partnering with industry like Algoma and Dofasco, 6 megatons of greenhouse gas reductions. That's through the electrification of the arc furnace, making Ontario a global leader in clean steel production. That's the equivalent of 1.3 million cars off the road, or 245 million barbecue tanks, propane tanks full of greenhouse gas emission. We're taking real action. We've put forward real ideas. All we're hearing is rhetoric on the other side. Thank you, Speaker.
Supplementary question.
Not a particularly useful answer, thank you. Again, back to the Premier. Instead of fast-tracking developments on wetlands and floodplains, the Premier could restore the powers of conservation authorities to protect people and property from floods. Instead of putting food security at risk by paving over prime farmland with costly, sprawl-enabling highways that benefit his friends, he could work with municipalities to encourage sustainable, transit-friendly growth within existing communities. Instead of cancelling programs to make homes energy efficient, he could restore and expand them. Instead of ripping out electric vehicle chargers at GO stations, he could help local transit systems go all electric. Why has the Premier declared and carried on war against the environment instead of preparing Ontario for the impacts of climate change? Why?
Minister of the Environment.
You know, Speaker, I just gave tangible, massive reductions in greenhouse gas emissions under the leadership of this Premier, and that's the difference. We're going to work with municipalities and we're going to work with industry. All that member opposite has is a higher carbon tax, wants to tax people to death. All they offer Ontarians is misery and poverty. That's all they offer them. We've got a plan to build Ontario. We've got a plan to build a greener Ontario, largest investment in transit, working with industry to be a leader in clean steel production. All they offer is negativity, rhetoric, and misery. Ontarians can see right through that.